Okay, so when I was a kid, we had the Star Wars movies. And we had Star Wars movies 1, 2, and 3. Yes, we know they said 4, 5, and 6, but we assumed we'd never see 1, 2, and 3. So whenever you asked, which movie was your favorite, you'd say the first one, second one, third one, and then give the name. But then it happened. In 1998, we started hearing rumors that George Lucas, in all his greatness, was going to release these first 3 movies. That it actually would be 4, 5, and 6 was what we knew, and there was going to be a 1, 2, and 3, something we thought we would never see. This isn't going to happen. And then it started, the rumor. And we started thinking about this thing. Could it be? And then we heard production was started. And we knew new Star Wars movies were coming. I mean, what could be greater than this? We waited for this. We wanted this as kids. I watched 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and the original 3 so many times I couldn't stand it. And now there was going to be new movies. And I remember it greatly. I remember all the build-up, and the world was going crazy. New Star Wars movies, and then a date was set. It was set for like May of 99. And it was going to be this most amazing thing. And so I remember the release date happened, and I remember like we were going to go and see it. And I remember I had youth group that night, and so after youth, me and several of the leaders were going to go. And I got to tell you, if there's ever been a night when I couldn't tell you what I said, or if I even knew what I said, I'm sorry, students that were there, because all I could think about was the new Star Wars movie. I mean, this was amazing. And so I remember going to the theater in Arvada, and I remember sitting there, and I remember, the other leaders were with me, and it was going to be this most amazing night of my life. And the previews happened, and then, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then the Star Wars sign comes, and it's like amazing, and the whole theater goes nuts. The theater goes nuts, and then they start scrolling the story. And from the very moment they started scrolling that long, drawn out, thought I was reading Time magazine story, it was like, oh no, what is this? And then the first scene came, and it was kind of cool. And then you saw the first characters, and they were okay. And then you saw these weird battle droids and their triad humor, and it just, my world came crashing down. This most amazing day and most amazing thing. How in the world could the great George Lucas let us down? And for the next 2 hours, I just sat there just numb and just wondering why we still live, and it was horrible. And I mean, so here's this thing we waited for, and I wonder sometimes when we talk about Jesus and we talk about like when he first started his ministry, people had begun to hear about this guy. They knew the Messiah was coming. I don't think they even knew it was him at all. They didn't, but it was just this guy who was preaching, and people were beginning to take notice. You ought to go listen to this guy. And then he goes and he starts his sermon, and we call it the Sermon on the Mount, and you find it in Matthew 5. And I want to just read this first part, because this is, as we think about the Foundation series and we think about this Sermon on the Mount, this first part: blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness. Now he goes into detail. We'll talk more about what he follows that with, but when you first start hearing this stuff, it's like, how in the world are these the people that are blessed? And, and I think there had to be this moment with them where they were going, how in the world, this is what we were getting all excited about? This guy who's talking about, blessed are you if you're persecuted. Blessed are you if you mourn. Blessed are the meek. I mean, these are not the things that are on the normal list when you think of I'm blessed in my life. And I want you to think about, like, in your life, when you think about I'm blessed, I'm a blessed person, when you would sit there and say I'm blessed, and I'm not saying that if somebody asked you what are the blessings in your life, but I'm saying, like, there's this general feeling in our life. Generally, I think that we feel like I'm blessed when everything is going great. I'm blessed when the truck's running well. It's a Ford, it always does. I'm blessed when I can pay all my bills. I'm blessed when I've got a little extra money. I'm blessed because I'm going on vacation. I'm blessed when, I do go see a Star Wars movie and it turns out it's great. Things that you sit there and you go, we put it on these things when they're good. And yet here Jesus is saying at these points when sometimes you're at your lowest, that's when you're blessed. And how is that? And so I wonder, like, in this time, as we're in this COVID-19 coronavirus time, it's causing us to look at things differently. It's there's unknowns. I don't know what tomorrow is going to hold. I read about California. They're bound to their homes now, unless they have to, and you just wonder we know that stuff's probably coming, and what does that look like? And there's this feeling of, like, suddenly I'm not blessed. Suddenly, life that was good a week ago, suddenly I'm not blessed. And so, and yet Jesus is challenging us. And so I want us to continue to look at this, and I want us to talk about specifically this. The second one it talks about is blessed are those who mourn. And it says, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Well, I don't know. There's mourning when we think about losing someone. There's also just mourning when you're just, maybe you're mourning the way things were. I'm mourning the life that I had just 2 weeks ago that I never thought, would change this drastically. But it talks about that it's at that point that God is able to work. That when we think about, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, which we talked about last week. It's at that moment when you realize, I've got nothing else. I can't do it on my own. I know that, everything I've tried isn't working. When you are at your lowest, that's when you're blessed, because that's when you go, God, I know I can't do it without you. And God's going, that's the most important thing. And so I think also with those, as far as the mourn, that is when we will be comforted. When we are at that point when we need God, when I'm hurting, I'm mourning things, a loss in the family, that's when God is able to be his greatest. And that's when we will be comforted. I just want you to think about this, because what in your small groups tonight, I want you guys to talk about in D teams, what is for you? Like, what are some of the things that when you think of you're blessed, what are the things that you put on that list on a normal time? When you say you're blessed, what are the things that cause you to feel blessed? What are the things that maybe in this time that you're mourning? What are things that you're feeling like you've lost? But I think that also, I'm guessing that as you're going through this time, there is this thinking that's going on, that you're reevaluating maybe the things that really matter, and that maybe you're beginning to realize that maybe I am blessed when I have that. These are the things that truly are when I'm blessed. And I want us to hear that ultimately this is saying that we're at our greatest. We're blessed when God is biggest in our lives. And I think that right now is a time when God can really be big in our lives. I think, and that's up to us. We can turn to him in this time. I think we've removed a lot of the distractions. Are we going to let God be big in our life? Are we going to, spend time in prayer? We talk about this all the time, reading your Bible. And I know it sounds like this horrible task, but it really isn't. It's this amazing thing when we get connected to God's word. And I understand sometimes it's hard to understand and certain things, but if you just will dedicate time in this space of time that we have to spend with him, maybe just spend time starting a journal, writing down in this time, what are some of the things that as you think about it from God's perspective, is God speaking through you right now? What are some of the things that you look at and you go, these really are the blessings I have in my life? That it's not the cars, it's not, the money, it really is, these are the things that are the most important. And so I hope you guys will think about that, talk about it in your small groups, talk about it in your D teams. You guys were doing it on the Zoom meeting this week. It's a little bit different. We're going to set some guidelines right up front. Let your D team leader talk to you about that. Just some ways that we can have fun with this, but at the same time, be orderly with it, because it's very easy for it to get distracting and us not accomplish what we want to do in that time. So have a great group. Hope you guys have a great day. And D team leaders, thanks for all you do. And we love you guys.